Told my dad I'd rather skip Christmas Eve at his house than risk messing up the mashed potatoes again. I'm 18F and my parents have been divorced since I was 8. I was the accident when they were both 18 and they got married to try and make it work. I knew even when I was a kid that they shouldn't be together, so when they divorced, I wasn't surprised and was kind of relieved. They got split custody, but they're only decent with each other when it comes to stuff I'm involved in. Dad got remarried when I was 9 and had 2 girls since then, and his wife is pregnant with the third, maybe 6 months? I don't keep track. Mom married when I was 10 and had 1 boy. I'm going to type how I explained it to my therapist when she asked me to define my family so you can understand my POV. My family is technically my mom, dad, stepmom and pop, stepdad, and my half-siblings. To me though, my safe place where I can drop all the technicalities is my pop and mom's house with my brother. There's no expectations there other than to be myself. In dad's house it's different because I'm expected to be the older sibling / role model / third adult. Don't get me wrong, I'm not abused or anything like that, but they often forget that I'm not 30. I'm still 18 and I mess up and I'm still learning. On Halloween I was staying with my mom and I had a matching costume with my brother. He wanted to be Batman and I was Poison Ivy. I was supposed to take him trick or treating in the neighborhood, then get him back home and go to a party with my friends. My stepmom was supposed to be going trick or treating with my half-sisters but called my mom and asked her if they can tag along with my brother and I instead because she's feeling tired and dad wasn't home. I didn't want to ruin it for them, so I agreed, but that meant I had to shorten the time at houses a bit. We were originally going for 2 hours, but I'm not comfortable being responsible for 3 kids alone and outside, so I made it an hour. Other moms were going to be on the street, sure, and I know a lot of them, but they're not responsible for us. The kids got less candy than they would have and I felt guilty, but what can I do? I got them back home to my mom's and left for my party. After the girls got back to their house, my stepmom called my mom again and asked why there wasn't as much candy. My mom explained and she made a comment about teens, me, being so self-involved these days and that the girls didn't have fun because I excluded them from the costumes and shortened the time. BTW, the girls hate anything superhero / villain and they wanted to be fairies, which they were. Mom defended me and told her that she should be thankful I agreed at all. They got into a little bit of a spat and I only know about it because my stepmom complained to me when I was over at their house. I had been distancing myself even before that and spending most of time at my mom's house. When I was younger, they used to stick religiously with the custody split, but now that I'm older, they started letting me come and go more freely but still with limits. I can't skip a week where I don't see dad and his family, for example, and I have to sleep there at least one night. I've been towing the line as much as I can and dad was not happy about it. He had a talk with me about how my half-sisters miss me when I'm gone, how my stepmom enjoys having me around. I know I sound like a spoiled teen whining about her parents who both want me to be part of their new families, but I can't help it, it's how I feel. This year, I'm having Thanksgiving with my mom and Christmas Eve with my dad, and Christmas Day is split between the 2 houses. We switch it out every year, but I guess this year I see the difference between the houses. Last year I was expected to help my stepmom make the dishes and I don't mind pulling my weight, but she got upset when I accidentally added too much salt to the mashed potatoes. I have 0 kitchen skills, and this year my pop just laughed when I accidentally catapulted some of his cranberry sauce onto the ceiling, and we nearly fell over laughing while trying to mop it off the ceiling with me on his shoulders. It's just the small things, I guess. It's not like something major happened and I know that, but I can't help but feel that I don't want to spend Christmas Eve there. I'm going to be expected to help make the dishes again and I don't want to ruin anything or have something taste different than they like them. Wibta? Update 1. Hi guys, I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I wrote my first post and posted it in a rush and I tried answering comments before I logged off. I'm sorry if I missed someone. I really appreciate all of you and your advice. Also, I didn't know you're not supposed to post the story to multiple subs. My BSF told me to look up her fave YouTuber subs after I posted on Ada. She's a big Dusty fan and after I fell down the rabbit hole of the page, I'm now one as well, so I have her to thank for that lol. Sorry, I'm rambling. I just still don't know what to write because I haven't really accepted it, I guess. I showed my mom and pop my posts and they read all the different comments and they say hi and thank you to everyone. Even though they had an idea of how I had been feeling before, it really put it into perspective and they asked my dad to come over alone so we can all talk. They agreed with a lot of you that I need to sit down and tell him face to face how I'm feeling and why I've been distancing myself so much. I was nervous and tongue-tied at first because it's much different than my therapy sessions, but I managed to get through almost everything. He was poker-faced, I guess? He really seemed detached in a way, and that's not my dad. He told me that he had noticed I haven't been acting like normal. I stopped bringing my friends over to his house to hang out / been sticking a lot to my room when I'm there / leaving and coming back right on my curfew time. That's all true, and I told him why whenever I brought back a friend, boy or girl, my stepmom would tell me to stick to the living room. No bedroom or basement. Game cave sorta. I don't mind that with boys because I get where she's coming from, but I know she does that with my girlfriends because that way, my half-sisters will hang out with us. I lock my bedroom door / they're scared of the basement. He kept bringing up stuff he noticed, like how I FaceTime my brother at night when I'm at his place. Mom usually calls when I'm packing my school stuff downstairs and I go upstairs to answer, but that I never do that with my half-sisters when I'm at my mom's. I asked him if he ever tried calling me on their behalf and if I ever declined. He said no. He asked why I always accepted babysitting my brother but often declined babysitting my half-sisters. I do maybe once a month? And I told him honestly mom and pop pay me. They don't pay me for chores and I don't expect anyone to, but mom and pop pay me for babysitting because that's what I do for my extra pocket money and because I'm doing a service, and they also don't expect me to drop my plans with my friends for free. It was a lot of stuff like that. We brought up chores at his house. Why I don't clean up like I should and help out my stepmom, for example. My room is spotless because I can't sleep if it's dirty, but the rest of the house is less so. I help pick up the toys, do my dishes, and the girls and do my laundry/dry it. If I see something on the floor, obviously I pick it up, but that's about it. I mostly just clean up after myself. I told him that I do whenever she asks something of me. It's not like I ignore her, but she also doesn't like my methods, so I stopped being available, aka in my room with my earbuds in. Mom and pop didn't really interfere because the conversation was almost robotic in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but it didn't feel like dad, and I was expecting disappointment or maybe hurt or him to at least try to argue with me, but he didn't. When we were done, he asked me what I wanted to do, and I was tearing up at that point because I didn't know. If we had fought, at least I could have said sorry and we could have worked on it to make it better, but we didn't. He asked me if I wanted to stay at mom's full time. I told him yes. He asked if I wanted to skip Christmas. I also said yes. He just nodded and told me I can do whatever I want and then left. Mom caught up with him outside and talked to him. I was too busy crying with my pop hugging me to go snoop, and she wouldn't tell me what was said, but she was pissed. I know it's what I wanted and what I asked for, but I can't help but feel hurt and guilty for feeling hurt that my dad didn't even try fighting me. This was Saturday and he hasn't texted me once like he usually would, but my mom said that he was checking up on me through her, and I can't tell if she's lying for my sake or not. I'm sorry this was so long, but thank you guys for reading/listening. Update 2. Hi guys. It's been a while. I was asked to update. I'm sorry, I probably should have earlier, but I haven't had the time between exams, friends and family. I hope you're all doing well. After the talk that happened at mom and pop's house, I gave dad space and just had pop drop off the gifts I had gotten him and his family. He did send me money on Christmas Day with a Merry Christmas and a small note that it's from him, his wife and the girl, since he wasn't sure what I'd like. I thanked him and then called my half-sisters to thank them and wish them Merry Christmas, but I thought it was kind of sad that my own dad didn't know what I liked after 18 years of knowing me, but my pop knew after much less time. Anyway, I don't mean to pity party lol. We kept contact through random texts for 2 weeks, and then I did what a comment had suggested and invited him out for dinner, just me and him. It was nice to see him, and we did talk then, not about our issue but in general. We did the dinner a second time that same week, his request, and then the third time he told me that he was bringing my half-sisters with us since his wife wanted a break. I wasn't thrilled, but I had missed them, and it was nice seeing them as well. They came a second time, same week as well, so it's in the span of 2 weeks. I'm sorry if I'm confusing anyone. And then the week after, it was a full-on dinner with his family without any warning. It honestly felt like an ambush even though it wasn't. The dinner was going okay, but I could feel myself retreating, if that makes sense. It's so mean to blame it on dad's wife, but I was fine when it was just us alone or just us and the girls, but the moment she became part of it, I just wanted to leave. She and dad tried talking to me about my friends, school, college, etc., and I did respond, but not really convincingly if I'm honest. Then she shifted to the baby since she's due soon, and then started talking that she and dad want 5 kids, so they're going to try for 2 more after that one is born. I kind of froze even though I wasn't that surprised. Dad tried to smooth it and corrected her that they would have 6 if their plan worked out, but it was already out. She tried to laugh it off and say it was pregnancy brain, whatever that means, but I told her that it's fine. She got a bit defensive and said not to turn it into an issue. I wasn't? But I guess it's because dad was glaring at her. I then told her that it's okay again. She said it clearly wasn't and not to dismiss her. I told her that it really was because I don't consider her family either, not anymore anyway. Then she teared up and left the table. Dad just looked tired. I apologized after she came back and had already called my BSF to pick me up. After I got home, I texted dad that I would like our dinners to go back to just him and I, and sometimes him and I and my half-sisters. He replied that it's not possible right now. I told him that I'm sorry, and now we're back to random texts. Update 3. So, a lot has happened since my last update and I honestly don't even know where to start. I guess I should mention that dad and I kept up with our random texts for about a month after the dinner disaster. They were pretty surface level. How's school? How's the weather? That kind of stuff. I was actually starting to feel okay with this new normal we had going. Then about 2 weeks ago, my BSF was over at mom and pop's house and we were in my room doing homework when she got this weird look on her face while scrolling through her phone. She asked me if my dad drives a black pickup truck and I said yeah. Why? She showed me a picture her older sister had posted on her story. It was taken at some bar downtown and in the background you could clearly see my dad with some woman who definitely wasn't his wife. They were sitting really close and the woman had her hand on his arm. I felt sick to my stomach, but I tried to tell myself it could be innocent, maybe a work colleague or something. But then BSF's sister posted another story an hour later from the same place, and this time they were definitely holding hands across the table. I screenshot both before they disappeared and just stared at them for like an hour. I didn't know what to do with this information. Part of me wanted to pretend I never saw it, but the other part felt like I needed to do something. His wife is pregnant and about to have their baby any day now. I kept thinking about my half-sisters and how this could destroy their family. I decided to text Dad and ask if he wanted to have dinner, just the two of us. He said yes immediately, which honestly surprised me since he'd been saying it wasn't possible for weeks. We met at this diner we used to go to when I was little and he seemed different. More relaxed than he'd been in months, but also kind of jumpy. I couldn't bring myself to just come out and ask about the pictures, so I started asking about how things were at home with the baby coming soon. He got this guilty look on his face and started talking about how stressful everything has been, how his wife has been really demanding lately, how he feels like he can't do anything right. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. He asked me if I thought people could love more than one person at the same time. I just stared at him and asked him what he meant. He backtracked immediately and said he was just speaking hypothetically, but I could tell he wanted to tell me something. The whole dinner felt weird after that, and when he dropped me off, he hugged me really tight and said he was sorry for how things had been between us. That was last Wednesday. On Friday, his wife went into labor and had the baby, another girl. Dad texted me a picture and asked if I wanted to come meet my new half-sister. I said I'd come by on Sunday, but Saturday night, everything exploded. My mom got a call around 11 p.m. from my dad's wife. She was crying hysterically and could barely speak, but from what Mom could make out, she'd found text messages on Dad's phone while he was at the hospital getting them both discharged. Apparently he'd been seeing someone for months. Mom told her she was sorry but that it wasn't really her place to get involved, which made his wife even more upset. She started screaming about how Mom stole Dad from her once, which makes no sense since Mom and Dad were divorced way before he met her, and how she knew Mom was probably helping him cheat. Mom hung up on her. Then an hour later, Dad called Mom. He was at some hotel and sounded completely defeated. He told her that his wife kicked him out and changed all the locks, and that she's threatening to not let him see any of the kids, including the new baby. He asked if he could come over to talk, which Mom said absolutely not, but she did stay on the phone with him for almost 2 hours. I only heard Mom's side of the conversation, but apparently Dad admitted that he's been unhappy for years and that he started the affair because he felt trapped. He kept saying he never meant for it to happen and that he doesn't know how to fix any of it. Now it's been 3 days and Dad is still at the hotel. His wife won't answer his calls and she's blocked him on everything. She even called my mom yesterday and demanded that I not be allowed to see my half-sisters anymore because I'm part of his family and she wants nothing to do with any of us. The crazy part is, I actually feel bad for him. I know I should probably be angry about the cheating, but mostly I just feel sad. It's like watching someone self-destruct and not being able to stop it. I haven't texted him yet because I honestly don't know what to say. Part of me wants to reach out, but part of me is also worried that getting involved will just make everything more complicated. Mom and Pop have been amazing through all this, but I can tell they're worried about me getting caught up in the drama. Pop said something yesterday about how sometimes adults make choices that hurt everyone around them, and that it's not my job to fix my dad's problems. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I have a feeling this is far from over. Update 4. I wish I could say things have calmed down, but honestly everything just keeps getting messier. It's been about 3 weeks since my last update and I feel like I'm living in some kind of soap opera. So Dad stayed at that hotel for almost a week before his wife finally agreed to let him come get some clothes and his work stuff. She wouldn't let him see any of the girls though, not even the new baby. He ended up moving in with his brother, my Uncle Mike, temporarily while he tries to figure things out. The affair woman, I found out her name is Jessica and she works at Dad's company in accounting, apparently broke things off with him the day after everything came out. She didn't want to deal with the drama according to what Dad told Mom during one of their phone calls. The really messed up part is how this has affected my relationship with my half-sisters. Dad's wife has completely poisoned them against me. When I tried calling the older one, she's 8 now, to see how she was doing, she started crying and told me that Mommy said I helped Daddy hurt their family. It broke my heart because these girls didn't do anything wrong, but their mom has convinced them that somehow I'm part of why their dad cheated. Things got even weirder when Dad asked if he could stay at Mom and Pop's house for a few days because Uncle Mike's couch was killing his back. Mom said absolutely not, which led to this huge argument where Dad accused her of being vindictive and not caring about our family. That really set Pop off. He got on the phone and told Dad that he had some nerve asking to stay in another man's house after destroying his own family through cheating. It was the first time I'd ever heard Pop really lose his temper and honestly it was both scary and kind of satisfying. But here's where it gets really crazy. Last Tuesday, I was at school when the office called me down because someone was there to pick me up. I thought it was Mom or Pop, but it was Dad's wife. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days, and she was holding the new baby. She told the secretary there was a family emergency and that she needed to take me home. I was so confused but I went with her because what else was I supposed to do? She drove us to this coffee shop about 20 minutes away and that's when she started talking. She was crying and saying how sorry she was for blaming me, how she knew I wasn't involved in Dad's cheating. Then she asked me something that completely floored me. She wanted to know if I thought Dad would come back if she got rid of me. She said she'd been thinking about it and maybe the reason Dad was never fully committed to their family was because he still felt obligated to maintain a relationship with me, and that maybe if I just disappeared from his life completely, he could focus on being a good husband and father to his real family. I didn't even know what to say. Part of me was hurt that she saw me as this obstacle to remove, but part of me also felt bad for her because she was clearly desperate and not thinking straight. I told her that Dad's cheating had nothing to do with me being in his life, and that even if I completely cut contact, it wouldn't change the fact that he chose to have an affair. She got really quiet after that and just sat there crying while holding the baby. Then she asked me something else that was even more disturbing. She wanted to know if I had any evidence of Dad's affair, like if he had said anything to me about Jessica or if I had seen them together. When I told her about the pictures my BFF's sister had taken, she got this scary look in her eyes and started asking for details about when and where they were taken. She said she was planning to hire a lawyer and try to get full custody of all 3 girls, and that any evidence of adultery would help her case. I felt so uncomfortable with the whole conversation that I told her I needed to get back to school. She seemed to snap out of whatever headspace she was in and apologized for involving me in adult problems. But then as she was driving me back, she said something that's been bothering me ever since. She said that she hoped I understood that sometimes people have to make hard choices to protect their children, and that she would do whatever it takes to make sure her girls had a stable life. When I got home that evening, I told Mom and Pop what happened. They were both furious that she had essentially kidnapped me from school without their permission. Pop wanted to call the police, but Mom said it would just make everything more complicated. Instead, she called Dad and told him that if his wife ever contacted me again without going through her first, she would get a restraining order. Dad came over that night, the first time he'd been in our house since that awful dinner back in November. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past month. He apologized for his wife's behavior and promised it wouldn't happen again. Then he asked if we could talk privately, so we went out to the back porch. He told me that he knows he's messed everything up and that he's probably lost his marriage for good. But what really got to me was when he said he was scared he was going to lose me too, and that losing his relationship with me would be worse than losing his wife. He started crying and saying how he knows he hasn't been the best dad to me, especially since remarrying, but that I'm still his first child and he loves me more than I'll ever know. I've been thinking about the conversation for over a week now, and I still don't know how I feel about it. Part of me wants to believe him and try to rebuild our relationship, but part of me also wonders if he's just saying what he thinks I want to hear because his whole world is falling apart. The situation with his wife has gotten even more intense. Apparently she's filed for divorce and is demanding alimony, child support, and the house. Dad's been staying at Uncle Mike's again, but yesterday he told Mom that he might have to move back in with his parents, my grandparents, if this drags on much longer. He's also worried that his wife might try to move out of state with the girls, which would make it impossible for him to maintain any kind of relationship with them. I haven't heard from any of my half-sisters since that phone call where the oldest one was crying. Dad says his wife monitors all their phone and internet activity now and has told them they're not allowed to contact anyone from Daddy's side of the family until further notice. It's heartbreaking because I love those girls even if their home situation was complicated for me. The weirdest part of all this is how it's actually brought Mom and Pop closer to Dad in some strange way. They're not friends or anything, but they seem to have developed this mutual understanding about how to handle the situation for my benefit. Pop especially has been surprisingly supportive, telling Mom that whatever issues they might have with Dad personally, they need to make sure I don't lose my relationship with him completely because of his wife's actions. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I have a feeling that confrontation with Dad's wife at the coffee shop was just the beginning. Something about the way she was talking makes me think she's planning something bigger, and that scares me more than I want to admit. Update 5. So I thought things couldn't get any crazier, but I was wrong. Really wrong. It's been about a month since that weird coffee shop encounter with Dad's wife, and honestly I was starting to think maybe things were finally settling down. Dad had been staying with my grandparents and we'd been texting more regularly, nothing deep, but at least we were communicating. His divorce was moving forward and his lawyer seemed confident he'd get some kind of custody arrangement with the girls eventually. Then last Thursday happened. I was at home doing homework when Mom got a call from an unknown number. She almost didn't answer but something made her pick up. It was my oldest half-sister, and she was whispering and crying. She said she'd snuck into her mom's room to use the landline because she wasn't allowed to use her phone anymore. She told Mom that she was scared because her mom had been acting really weird and talking about moving far away where Daddy couldn't find them. But here's the part that made my blood run cold. She said her mom had been asking her and her middle sister lots of questions about me. Like what I looked like, what school I went to, what car Mom drives. When Mom asked why, my half-sister said her mom told them she might need to talk to their big sister again soon. Mom immediately called Dad, who rushed over within 20 minutes looking absolutely panicked. He said his wife had been ignoring all the custody mediation attempts and her lawyer had been giving his lawyer the runaround for weeks. He was worried she was planning to disappear with the kids. That's when Pop suggested something that surprised all of us. He said maybe I should stay somewhere else for a few days, just in case. He'd been getting this weird feeling that someone was watching our house, like he'd see the same car parked across the street multiple times, but whenever he tried to get a better look it would drive away. I thought he was being paranoid until Saturday morning. I was at my BFF's house for a sleepover, and around 10 a.m. her mom came upstairs looking really concerned. She said there was a woman at their front door asking for me, claiming to be my stepmom and saying there was a family emergency. But when BSF's mom asked for more details, the woman got really agitated and started demanding to know where I was, saying she had a right to see her stepdaughter. BSF's mom told her she needed to leave or she'd call the police, and the woman finally left, but not before shouting something about how I was ruining her children's lives and she wasn't going to let it continue. When BSF's mom called my mom, we all realized this wasn't just about custody or divorce drama anymore. This was about Dad's wife blaming me for everything that went wrong in her marriage, and she was clearly not thinking rationally. Dad came to get me from BSF's house and I've never seen him look so angry and scared at the same time. He kept apologizing over and over, saying this was all his fault and that he never should have put me in this position. He said he was going to talk to his lawyer about getting some kind of restraining order, but he wasn't sure how much that would actually protect me since technically she hadn't made any direct threats. But then yesterday, everything escalated in a way I never could have predicted. I was at school during lunch when the fire alarm went off. Everyone thought it was just a drill until we got outside and saw actual smoke coming from the parking lot. It turned out someone had set a car on fire, and it was my mom's car. The police and fire department showed up, and while they were putting out the fire, one of the officers found a note tucked under the windshield wiper of the car next to Mom's. I didn't see what it said, but I watched Mom's face go completely white when the officer showed it to her. She wouldn't tell me what the note said, just kept saying everything was going to be okay and that we were going to stay at Pop's sister's house for a few days while things got sorted out. But I overheard her on the phone with Dad later that evening, and I caught enough to know that the note mentioned me specifically. Dad's been calling every hour since then, and I can hear the panic in his voice even when he's trying to sound calm for my sake. He told Mom that his wife hasn't been answering her phone or responding to his texts, and when he drove by the house yesterday evening, it looked like no one was home even though all their cars were in the driveway. The scariest part is that we still don't know where she is or what she's planning next. Dad's worried she's having some kind of breakdown and might do something to hurt herself with the girls. Pop thinks she's targeting me because in her mind, if I'm out of the picture, Dad might come back to her. I keep thinking about what she said in the coffee shop about doing whatever it takes to protect her children, and now I'm wondering if she's convinced herself that I'm some kind of threat that needs to be eliminated. Mom won't let me go back to school until the police figure out who set the car on fire, even though we all pretty much know it was her. I'm supposed to be focusing on my upcoming graduation, but instead I'm hiding out at my great-aunt's house wondering if my dad's wife has completely lost it. The worst part is thinking about my half-sisters. They're just little kids caught in the middle of their mom's breakdown, and I have no idea if they're safe or what she might be telling them about all this. Dad says he's hiring a private investigator to try to find them, but I can't shake the feeling that she's not done with me yet. And honestly, I'm scared of what she might do next.